sound. Let me just cue you up on my second device over here. Oh, any day now? Yes, I started a live video. I want to see it. Ah! Hi, Dan. Hi, Cyan. Okay, my channel. And here we go. We've got some people watching. Hi, Paolo. We can see and hear. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. So, let's grab my stuff here. Got visuals. Sorry. I'm doing custom cable while watching, so I don't know how much I can chat. Okay, that's cool. Can you tell me more about this custom cable? Okay, so I am starting, let's turn that on. And actually, let's get the overheads on too. Okay, so I'm starting a little bit late today. Sorry about that. There's a few reasons for that actually. It's for my keyboard, paracord sleeved, green tech flex, green aviator, custom length coil. So basically a super fancy USB cable. That's really cool. Yeah, so I'm starting late today for a couple of reasons. So I've got two books here, which were very generously sent to me by Ev. We traded some flat rate boxes. So Canada Post offers a flat rate box. There's 3 different sizes of them, and you pay for the box, and then you can fill it with whatever you want. And so she sent me these, which she's had in her collection for a while, and they are these beautiful, beautiful illustrated plant books. And then since we've both gone down this Poshmark rabbit hole, she also pointed me at some other illustrated plant books, which are supposed to arrive today. And I was hoping that if I delayed the stream a little bit, that I would get them before the stream, but they're not here yet. So I might get a knock on the door about that. But I wanted to share these with you. So they are in French, but we've got Plantes Medicinales. And so this is Medicinal Plants. So there's some intro about how things are used and when they grow, like tableau de récolte des arbres médicinales. So when you can, when they're planted and when they're gathered, I guess. And so like seeds or leaves or whatever, and which parts you can use. And so these are sorted by Latin name. And then sorted again by Latin name. There's all of the different plants. So these are medicinal plants. Yeah, harvesting table. That's, sorry. Yes. I was having that like translation brain fart where it's like, okay, well now I'm working in French and like what is English? So yeah, so here millefeuille. And it's really cool because it's got all of this information about the different uses of these plants, but it's also got some really cool illustrations, which can be helpful for reference, like if you're working from life, having an illustration and some information about how things grow can help you make sure that you're interpreting what you see correctly. Because, for example, the specific thing that you collected might be missing some petals, or you might not be seeing the full life cycle. So having these illustrations done by someone else can help you interpret what you're doing in your own work. So these are medicinal plants. It's just this beautiful, beautiful collection of illustrations and information with a lot of different plants, which will be really super useful. It's an interesting choice. I think it's a European book because, for example, they've got Azarée d'Europe, which is European wild ginger, but they don't have the Canadian wild ginger, which is similar but has less glossy leaves. Like the leaves are more pointed, and they're not glossy on top. They're a bit bigger too. Very, very similar species, but it's not represented here. Yeah, so the two books that I'm getting today, one of them's about northern gardening, so it'll presumably have more of the Canadian species. And then the other one is, I've forgotten what the other one is. But it's also like these, there's also illustrations and photos. And I'm pretty sure these are European books indeed. Quebec gets a lot of French books straight from France. Well, I mean, that makes sense. Like, there's not enough of a market to write or create books only for the Quebec market, like of this size. This is a lot of work. Quebec market's not large enough. But a lot of these plants, even if they are native to Europe, you'll still see them. Like, for example, here we have bleuet, which in English is bachelor's button or cornflower. And it's native to Europe, but it grows all over in Canada. It's like it's a garden plant and it's a garden escape, so it's everywhere. I like that they've also included things like lichens. So the two different chamomiles. So there is, sorry, it's a nice sunny day, which means my lighting is wonderful, but you're getting weird lighting from my window, and I'm just gonna leave it be and you're gonna get weird lighting. So chamomile romaine and chamomile allemande. So Roman chamomile and German chamomile, and they're slightly different. Usually what we have in chamomile tea is the German chamomile. The Roman chamomile is perennial or self-seeding in more northern climates, so you can just grow this perennially, but it doesn't have as much of the oils usually. And then this is a related plant, which again, this is native to Europe, Matrica ranzisk, which is here in Canada, in English Canada, it's called pineapple weed. It smells sort of like pineapples and looks sort of like chamomile without the petals. I'm not buying any more books on botanical art till I catalog mine, as I bought the same book twice. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, I've had a lot of fun just going through these, and that's one thing that I do with my books is just like look at them for inspiration and ideas. But the other thing that I think this will be very useful for, or having these books in general, is when I'm working on an illustration of a specific plant, to look up what other illustrators have done. So I wouldn't copy, like I wouldn't say, for example, oh, I'm going to, I don't know, paint a sunflower and I'll just copy this image. I would choose my own sunflower reference and choose my own composition and whatever, but it's still useful to see this and read about it. So then I would reference, after choosing a subject, after choosing a basic composition, go and find other references. Sea buckthorn. It's also interesting because at various points in my life I've been, so I did, I don't know how many of you know this about me, but so I grew up in Toronto in English Canada, but I went to school through the French school board. So I did I started out in French immersion, which is like your schooling is in French, but it's all for English speaking kids. And then we actually have we have a number of school boards. So every province has both English and French school boards, and in English provinces, to access the French school boards, it's for native French speakers. So if your family is Francophone, then you can go to a French school board, or you have to pass a test. So I tested into the French system, and then I did all of my middle and high school in French. And then I went to the University of Toronto, which is Anglophone. So then back to English. And so at various points in my life, I've been in a completely Francophone environment and a completely Anglophone environment academically. And so it's weird because there's things that I know only in French and things that I know only in English. And sometimes translation is a little bit tricky. Am I fluent in French? Yes. I do have some kind of an untraceable accent in French as well as Portuguese. It's not really an English accent. Like it's not that I pronounce things like I'm English. I just pronounce things like I'm not from a specific Francophone area, because I learned from, you know, teachers and classmates and whatever who were from all over the world. And sometimes I'm a little bit rusty these days because I just don't use it so much, but I am fluent. And here we have Qatar, and the Peta Qataria, which is catnip. Catnip. All right, so that's our medicinal plants. And then après arbuste is trees and bushes. So again, this one has the forms of the trees illustrated in this corner, and then it's got like a branch, a little leaf section, and then the seeds. I was looking into the Core Mini palette, but it seems like the one I found doesn't have the nice colors Lee talked about. That's interesting. That's the only Core Mini palette I've ever seen. Were you looking at maybe one of the tube sets? Because Core also makes tube sets that they package in tins. Lana says, I have a question for the botanical artist. How do you translate the greens for your paintings? Because in nature, some greens are bluish and some are yellowish, but I saw many illustrations where the greens are painted only in bluish tones. So I was curious if that's the artist's choice and preference. Yes, I have thoughts about that. So after I've actually written a blog post about that, and you know, some of this is personal opinion and personal eye, I'm sure, where like different people will see things differently and perceive things differently. But I have some thoughts about greens in nature, so I'll get into that in just a little while. But yeah, so like a lot of these illustrations do seem to have a lot of very muted greens. And like more bluish muted greens, whereas I feel like there's a lot, when I see nature, I see a lot more bright yellowish greens mixed in with the muted bluish greens. The one that is listed on Jackson's doesn't have any Perylene colors. Paulo, the Core Mini that I have didn't have any Perylene colors either. I think you might be confused with the Schminke palette I had. Hi, Stephen. Remember that post. Yeah. So there's a lot of pines, and then these are sort of cedar type things. And then we've got, yeah, lots of like cedar type things. And then we've got magnolias and tulip trees. Again, these are sorted by their Latin name. Fig tree, Osage orange. Huh, interesting. Okay, that's interesting. They've got chestnuts, but not horse chestnuts. Maybe I'm confusing the colors, so I'll have to watch the video again. The Core Mini that I have, do I have my sketchbook that I used here handy? Possibly. Okay, I don't have it in front of me, so can't demonstrate that too easily, but the Core Mini that I have has a split primary as well as secondary colors, and then the, it's got like a neutral tint or a Payne's gray, and 2 earth tones. What I like about the Core Mini is that it's got a transparent orange, PO71. It's got a PY150 yellow as one of the 2 yellows. The other one is a cadmium. And then it's got, for one of the reds, like reds in the split primary, it's got a PR122 quinacridone magenta. So what I like about the Core Mini is that it's got a lot more coverage than some of the more standard split primary based palettes, because it's got a very, like, it's got a proper magenta, it's got actually a purple, it's got a violet, a dioxazine violet, it's got an orange, so you can mix. I feel like it's got better coverage around the color wheel, as well as some very bright transparent colors that aren't often found in beginner palettes. Yep, that's the color selection I have in my Core Mini as well. I must have been confusing the 2 palettes. Yeah, so the Schminke does have 2 paralleles. The cadmium color really throws me off. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting choice. It's probably the only cadmium I have in any palette that gets any use, but I guess they didn't want to put one of the other lemon yellows, because all the other lemon yellows have their various issues. It's an interesting choice to have that one cadmium. It is a very like lemony greenish yellow. The choice of nickel azo yellow as your more orange toned yellow, as your warmer yellow, so to speak, is a little bit interesting to me, because I don't really feel like it mixes like a warm yellow. Yes, if you paint it out in mass tone, it looks sort of brownish and can seem like it's more of a warm yellow, but it really mixes closer to a lemon yellow or a middle yellow. Draw Mr. Krabs when he overdosed on ketamine. Okay. Probably not really my thing. I find cadmium so heavy, it's weird to paint with, but they have nice colors, it's difficult. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some really lovely things done with cadmiums. I've never really... The thing is, I could see getting used to them and like becoming attached, but because they have like relatively high toxicity, I haven't really been inclined to, you know, train myself how to use cadmiums at all. Anyway, so yeah, again, so this is trees and bushes. Again, there's a great variety of these. There is some overlap where some of the medicinal plants are also trees or bushes. They do have some native Canadian species, like this is a serviceberry. Orchids Canada. And I don't know if you really grow service berries at all in Europe, but they're a common decorative tree here, and they're native to here. I must have flipped past the orange berries you're referring to, Lana. So then apricots and peaches and cherries and almonds. I don't think I've ever really seen this tree in person or noticed it. I don't think it's native to here, but Alpros anemone, anemone tree. Is anyone familiar with this? Does this grow where you live? Or like laurier cerise, which is cherry laurel. Again, not really familiar with these. Would student paints have real cadmium back in the 70s? I have no idea, maybe? I've heard that, so it might grow here. Which? Serviceberry? Anemone tree? Which one? Cherry, this one. Cherry laurel? Okay, cool. I wonder whether we have this and we just don't, we call it something different, like in North America? Or in, yeah. Sometimes that's the case, but I'm not recognizing it in any case. So these are gooseberries, which aren't, again, they're not very common in Canada, but they grow just fine here. Sorry, these are not gooseberries. I forgot the name. Common laurel, sometimes English laurel is, oh, okay, so maybe it's, yeah, it must be all around. I just haven't noticed it. It's weird how those things happen. Oh, I've been curious about this. These things with this burning bush, smoke tree things, they look so weird. Bye, Alex. Maples, white maples, red maples. Oh, okay, this is where we're hiding the... Gotcha. This is where we're hiding... I'm confused. This is where we're hiding the other chestnuts. I was wondering why there was only one kind of chestnut. Tissue tree. Bourdaine. I don't know what a bourdaine is. I don't know what that is in English. But like, for example, here we have sea buckthorn, which was also in the medicinal plants. It's not native to Canada. It grows really well in Canada. have a perruque, literally tree with a wig. Yeah, have you seen them? They look like there's like this smoky, like hazy stuff around them. Frangula alnus, commonly known as alder buckthorn, glossy buckthorn. Or, oh, so it's a big, right, okay, cool. Olivier de Bohème. Right, so here we call this autumn olive. So yeah, and catalpa. Catalpa is this gigantic tree. They get really, really huge. My neighbor has one that's growing very close to his house. And for years he's been trying to keep it small, but like it's the most massive tree you'll ever see, and he keeps on trying to cut it down, like make a bonsai out of it. He'll cut it down to like 3 feet, like a meter tall. And then it'll just grow new, like every year it just grows a new trunk, and he calls it his triffid. And it's a losing battle. The tree is gonna grow, it's gonna get bigger than, it's gonna like overwhelm his house, but he's just determined that it's gonna be like a small decorative tree. It is not a small decorative tree. This thing has leaves like this big, and they're in proportion to the tree. Okay, so now let's talk about greens, one of my favorite topics. Do I have paper in this one? Let me go get paper. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna get different paper. One moment. I'll be right back. So, Ed sent me a bunch of stuff. And one of them is this little Paul Rubens thingy. And I might as well try this for this little color testing thing. Oh, and I need to refill my water too. One moment. Sorry, I'm clearly not very prepared here. I had to move my camera stand back because I was using it for recording a podcast that I was on with Beth and Burton from Journaling with Nature. And so I had it over by my computer so that I could talk to her while recording my podcast. And then I had to move this back just now. So yeah, I'll be right back with water. Okay. Alright. So, let's put this over here and move. Let's try to get everything in screen in a useful way. Okay. So, here we have a palette. And I think there's a misunderstanding about greens that's pretty widespread. Because I think what happens is people start, most beginner palettes will start with something like a phthalo green. Like that's a pretty common thing that you'll see in like children's palettes or beginner palettes. And you'll see this bright bluish green, right? Like it's almost a teal here. And people will look at this green and they'll say that doesn't look natural. Because if you paint a tree and you say, okay, well, it's got a brown trunk, what is going on? Right, so the viridian-like color would be this. So what you would have then is you paint a tree, right? And you say, okay, well, I'm painting this tree. And you've got this weird viridian-like color. So you draw your tree trunk. Okay, that's brown, that looks right. And then you take your only green from your palette. And you say, okay, well, leaves are green, right? And so then you paint this and you paint your leaves on your tree and it just looks wrong. Like, why do you have this? That's not a natural green. So then people will say, oh, well, that's not natural because that's too bright. You won't have bright greens like that in nature. And so then they'll suggest, okay, well, you should mute it down. So what you should do is you should take a red, for example. So here I have PV19 Carmine from another brand. And you should use it to mute down your green. Well, now I have something that's like really more of a purplish, so maybe not that. Or you can use an earth tone. Maybe you use an earth tone or more of an orangish color, and you mute that down. And now you're going to have a realistic green. And I'm going to take some of this PR 101, for example. I'm sorry, are you hearing that crazy vibrating? I'm getting an emergency notification. Anyway, so you mute that down and you get this color, like something like this. Right, and then that looks like more of a natural green, and then you paint all of your greens with that. Yeah, sorry, so we get these emergency alerts from the government when like a child's been kidnapped or something, and they make everyone's phones go off at the same time. So you're getting my because I'm recording with my phone, you're getting the phone vibrating because I can't override that notification. Is it the emergency notifications that give you heart attacks if your phone is on audio? Yeah. Yeah, so my audio's off. So you're not getting like the full fire alarm effect. But it still notifies you, it just goes on vibrate. Right. So what frequently happens is that people will use this, and then the other thing that they'll use is they'll get something called a sap green, right? Or an olive green or something, and that's a more yellowish green. And they'll use that as their other green. I'm sorry, is that still going? Emergency alert. Okay, yeah, so there was a child abducted in Ottawa. Is that all for the same emergency? Yes. We frequently get triplicate ones, where they'll send you one, and then they'll send you a clarification, and then they'll send you a third one for God knows why. So this is a child abduction. This is an Amber Alert. A child was abducted in Ottawa. But like, I'm nowhere near Ottawa. I don't leave the house. It's not really super relevant to me, but that's what's going on. Okay, and so then the other thing that people will get is they'll have another green, like often a premixed green. What Lana said is frequently you'll have like a weird yellowish green somewhere. And sorry, let me just find one. Like you might get something like here. You'll have this olive green. Yeah, I'll look up the details later, but it's certainly nothing that I can help with, so I'm not going to put too much effort into looking into it right now, because I haven't been out of the house in days, so yeah. Anyway, so here's another green. This one's more of an olive-ish green, and then you'll get something else like this, right? And then you say, okay, well, this and the mixes between them, that's your natural green. And there's a few problems with this approach. The first one is any green, no matter what green you're using, all greens in nature vary. So if I do my little tree exercise again, right, and I say, okay, well, I'm going to paint a little tree, da-da-da. Here we go. Here's my branches. And I'm going to use my more natural green, this one, over here. And I'm going to paint my tree, right? And I'm going to paint it all the same color because all my leaves are the same color. And I'm going to just do the whole thing in one color like this. It's still going to look wrong. Like that's still not going to look natural. Right? Still looks pretty wrong. Hi, Sally. How are you? So what my approach to greens in nature is that my first rule is there's always variation in your greens. So like no matter what you're painting, if I want to make a more natural green, it's going to have darker areas. It's going to have bluer areas. It's going to have more yellow areas. Here maybe. It's going to have lighter areas. And so then we can have something that looks a little bit more natural. So something like that is just automatically going to look more natural just because there's variation. And I haven't really put that much thought into what the variation is, but just the fact that there is variation is going to make that look more natural. So that's the first thing about greens is no matter what you're doing with your greens, there should be variation. The other thing that I have noticed in greens is that very bright greens do exist in nature. They're just not this like tealy, viridian, phthalo green color. The very bright greens that exist in nature are going to be much, much, much more yellow. So, for example, I can have something that's basically just a yellow. Here's my Nicolazzo yellow. I'm just going to make like a big puddle of Nicolazzo yellow here. And there's some other stuff that's like on my palette here because I don't clean my palette. Sorry. But then if I just take just a tiny bit of that green and I mix it in with this Nicolazzo yellow, add a little bit more of the yellow, yeah. So that it's basically just a yellow with a tiny bit of green. Like this is a perfectly good natural green that I do see everywhere. It's not looking as bright on my screen as it is in real life, but it is quite bright. This is like a neon green. You do get neon greens in nature, but they are very yellowish. And then you also get some very bluish greens in nature, like these dark tealy things, but then those ones are much more muted. So then what I'll do for those is that's where I'll crack out things like perylene green. And so then I can have something that's very dark and very blue, very muted, but it's going to be much more muted. So that's my thing with greens. So my approach to mixing greens, because I'm so fussy about yellows, I mostly start with Nicolazzo yellow, and then I mix with other things, various kinds of blues and greens. So perylene green, phthalo green, phthalo turquoise. What's in here? This is just a phthalo blue. I've got Indian throne blue. But if I was going to mix from yellow and blue and I wanted to mix something much darker, more bluish, then I would choose something that's a more muted blue that's further away from the yellow to make this sort of like very, very muted color. I also find that I can just sort of cheat almost by starting with a perylene green and a Nicolazzo yellow, and everything in that range is going to be a natural green. Where if I've basically just got natural Nicolazzo yellow, that is a natural green color, and perylene green is a natural green color, and everything in between is a perylene green, is a natural color as well. Because everything that's more bluish is more muted and everything that's more yellowish is brighter. So that's my approach to greens. I know that different people approach greens differently, but this is what works for me and how I see the world. Any questions? Okay, I'm gonna clean up some of this mess on my palette because it's getting a little overwhelming. So I'm just gonna clean up some of this so that I can have some of my yellow space back. I have to play with those two colors more. Yeah. So I used to do a similar thing with Prussian blue and Nicolazzo yellow. Also make a really lovely range. But I've been sort of abandoned Prussian blue in most of my palettes just for light fastness concerns. I'm good. That was a nice walkthrough and I love greens. Cool. Thanks, Lana. Belinda says, dang, beautiful. Trees always seem to be an enigma, especially forest scenes. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of variation, and the temptation to just look at things and see green is overwhelming. It's like it's one of those colors where we don't really think that we see all the variation, but actually green is, you know, the part of this color spectrum where we have the most visual acuity, where we see the most variety of different colors within one range of wavelengths. So we actually see a lot of different greens, but because we just perceive them as background, like, oh, those are just the trees, we don't really process like exactly what shade of green it is, whereas we're much more sensitive to like different shades of red. Also, hi Belinda. I always try to review that info, even if I don't always try to too hard to color match when I paint. Well, actually, that's a good point too, is that beyond just color matching, like exact color match isn't necessarily so important. Like if you see here, I just sort of splashed some colors on, but value is more important, where understanding which areas are going to be lighter and which areas are going to be darker. So I didn't really do a perfect job here, but in general, if you're painting a tree, things that are, especially in daylight, you're going to have the top of the tree is going to be hit by the sun. It's going to be lighter. The bottom of the tree is going to be in shade. It's going to be darker. So you kind of want to keep that general transition. And that's going to be more important than the exact colors of exact areas. So yeah, I guess that's another thing is, wasn't sure whether I was going to finish this on stream or not. But here we have my little pieces that have been sitting on my desk for forever. And so a lot of what makes this convincing is not the shade of green, it's the variation of different tones of green. Here's another one like that. Like the mossy texture. Yeah, that was really fun. Okay, So that's that. And so I did my little watercolor thing, but I think what I'm going to do today is actually more ink. Because I don't really feel like playing with watercolor today. The frog, yeah. It's a cute little guy. So I'm going to set this aside. I was just rereading one of my Georgia O'Keeffe books and marveling about how very impactful her very simple watercolors from 1917 era were. I thought about your frog painting a lot lately, so beautiful, and I'm obsessing over frogs right now. Aw, thank you, Lana. And yes, Sally, I do find Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings very impactful and like a very strong color sense as well. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up. So in another one of these, I got out my little plastic dinosaurs. And I sketched some plastic dinosaurs with some fountain pen. Teeny tiny toes, huge googly eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna do some more ink sketching, but this time instead of fountain pen, I think I'm just gonna use just a regular ballpoint pen. What ink was this? The ink in that was sketch ink in the shade Emma. How's the sketchbook coming along? Well, it's not here yet, the one that I'm planning on using. If you're talking about Sketchbook Exchange sketchbook. By the way, I got the platinum carbon ink in sepia because of you. Whoa, it's not very light fast, Lana. I'm sending it to SciArt as well. So I'm going to be using yeah, I love it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful shade, but it's not very light fast, and I'm kind of upset about that. Anyway, I wanted to check those books to see if they had milkweed, or asclepiade would be the French word, but they don't, because I guess they didn't consider it not milkweed. I was looking at the wrong thing. That's why I didn't find it. Because I looked up milkweed, and I didn't mean to look up milkweed. I meant to look up goldenrod. Goldenrod is solidago. Ev, what is goldenrod in French, please? Or I guess it's in alphabetical order, so maybe it is here. Yes, inks are frequently not light fast. I did, in my light fast test, put some out in the window beside me. Jardin d'Or. Well, I mean, it'll be by Latin name anyway. So it would be called Solidago. Oh, here we go, Voucher d'Or. So I thought it wasn't in here, but that's because I was looking at the entirely wrong plant. or solidage, or verge d'or. Yeah. So these are very, very common in Canada. Yeah, so here they've got, I mean, here they're calling it Solidago vulgaria, but there's a number of them. So there's like, there's Canada goldenrod, showy goldenrod. I'm not even sure what kind these are. Is it like plant of gold, verge d'or? Well, verge is it's like tip, maybe? What would you translate verge as? Well, it's okay. So vert with a T would be green. It's not. Yeah, verge is more like rod. Really? Oh, I guess like, yeah, but more like twig, right? Or like it says stick or male genitalia. Well, yeah, anything stick-shaped ends up being anything stick-shaped becomes male genitalia. So the neat thing is, so I have these dried pieces. And so there's two interesting things to note here. So the first one is, oh my goodness, they've gotten tangled. One moment. And let's untangle. And let's get all this nonsense off my desk. Okay. I never heard of a golden one. Okay, and let's turn this camera over. Aha! I'm back. All right, sorry about that. I'm gonna have to find a better solution for this. Whoop whoop, yeah. I don't know why it does this, but sometimes it dies. And I would buy myself out of this problem if I knew what the solution to buying myself out of this problem is. Hi Joy, how are you? Today we are talking about goldenrod. So goldenrod gets blamed for hay fever and other allergies, but it's not goldenrod. So people assume it's goldenrod because goldenrod has this like really visible golden pollen. So even on like allergy medications and whatever, they'll show pictures of goldenrod, but goldenrod absolutely does not cause hay fever and allergies. It just doesn't. The pollen is too heavy to get carried by wind. So it can't be what's getting into your nostrils. So therefore, it's not what causes people's seasonal allergies. What causes people's seasonal allergies more often than not is ragweed, which is completely unrelated, but flowers at the same time as goldenrod and isn't quite as yellow. So that's the first thing about goldenrod. And so you can see some of these little pollen bits in here. They're very heavy. They drop straight down. Is it known by any other name? Well, we were just talking about this. So I've got this book in French. So its scientific name is Solidago, and it's a whole family of plants. So there's a whole bunch of different subspecies. Are we back? Tell me we're back. Sorry guys. I'm so sorry. All right. Okay, here, we're back. I have decent internet. Right now we have 2 people on video stuff, so maybe that's what's going on. If I knew that getting a different camera and hooking it up differently would solve this, I would go for that, but I don't actually know. Yeah. I don't know why YouTube does this to me. Anyway, so this is, yeah, so first is just like, I find that goldenrod in general, it dries in this really cool way. And it's a really cool, beneficial plant that gets blamed for allergies, so I kind of like it. The other thing that's neat about goldenrod is if I take this book away and I show you this piece of goldenrod, and maybe if I bring it up a little. If you see this, what's going on here is a stem gall. So you'll see weird shapes sometimes like this on various kinds of plants, but goldenrod in particular gets stem galls. And what happens is there's a little midge, a little fly creature that lays its eggs into the stem of the goldenrod in the summer. And as the egg grows, as the larva grows, the goldenrod sort of forms an immune reaction around it and creates this bubble, this little widening of the stem here. And then the thing goes into sort of hibernation and, develops through the winter. And then when it starts warming up in the spring, it chews its way out. So I collected these in winter. And I was a little bit concerned because sometimes if you collect them too late in winter and you bring them into your house, then the thing chews its way out and then you have midges in your house. But no, so I've had this for over a year. It's fine. It's totally fine. I collected it in like December, so I knew that probably it would be fine, but also I only kept one of the galls. So there's a dead insect in here. Dissection time? What sort of, well, they are called goldenrod midges, I think. It's one of these like very strict dependent relationships. Anyway, I think the stem galls are super cool. But then, you know, I live to just have these episodes where I just gross everyone out with like, hey look, I've got some dead birds and insects and I'm drawing some spiders. Like sandfly? I don't know what a sandfly is. You live a dangerous life. It's fine. Anyway, so on that very positive note, I thought that I would Yep, and if you look at right, while we're Googling for me, you can look up stem galls for goldenrod stem galls. You'll probably what you'll probably find is an art project by Emily Damstra, who is a local natural science illustrator who did a whole project on this. Buffering again. Mine's not buffering. Okay, good. Thank you. Parasitic relationships in nature really creep me out. Really? I love them. I think they're so cool. Oh my goodness. Parasitic relationships in nature, like, I'm all about that. Anyway, so I thought this would be an interesting opportunity to play with just like really, really basic materials. And so I'm just gonna sketch this, but I'm just using, this is just a ballpoint pen. Good. I hope it doesn't go again. Like, I don't, if anyone has advice on that, I'm listening. Anyway, so I'm just gonna see what variation of tones I can get with this very minimalist setup. Yeah, so it's very, very common in North America. I think it is native to North America. There might be some varieties native to Europe, but it's probably not in, New Zealand. But yeah, goldenrod is a very large family of plants, and they're all over here. It's one of the best ballpoint pens, to be honest. So I've heard. And yeah, so I've just been, you know, I'm enjoying playing with fountain pens, but sometimes you just want something really, really basic. So I'm just experimenting with this ballpoint pen, and just what I can do with like really basic materials. Anyway, so this has some like really weird, fun little shapes. And so I can just sort of scribble this away and see what comes out. And chat with you all. And maybe my other books will arrive at some point. So, it has occurred to me that my Friday slot for live streams means that I am scheduled to live stream on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and do a 2 p.m. slot on both of those days. I feel like this year is so weird that probably a bunch of people will actually be available at those times and kind of bored and maybe a little upset about whatever is or isn't going on in their families, and can join me for some art chat stuff or not. And I am gonna stream on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Really, won't you be enjoying Christmas? Well, I mean, we're in lockdown, or sorry, we're currently in code red. But the area I'm in has the highest growth rate of anywhere in our province for COVID-19. So like it's a matter of hours or days before they announce a lockdown here. So we'll be in lockdown. We can't be visiting with family anyway. We'll probably do a video chat with both of our families at some point, but yeah, I mean, we'll do stockings in the morning. We got some gifts that my family shipped, but that's, I mean, I'm gonna try to make cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. But like through most of the day, I mean, I'm not doing anything terribly special, so I'm happy to just stream, and it'll be pretty casual, but these streams always are. Yeah. So my husband's family does cinnamon rolls, or did cinnamon rolls as a Christmas morning ritual. And I've been craving cinnamon rolls like since March. We have like a chain of restaurants here, takeout places that do cinnamon rolls called Cinnabon. And they're like they're really, really ooey gooey and super sweet. And I've been craving, it's not even that I'm craving Cinnabon, I'm craving my childhood memory of Cinnabon. Like now when I eat Cinnabon, I love the texture of them. They're like really gooey and really cinnamony, but they are also overly sweet. But when I was a little child and could just eat sugar, I loved them. And so what I really want is my memory of Cinnabon, and I'm gonna try to make it. You've never had cinnamon rolls? What? What? You're missing out. You're missing out. They're not really a thing over here. Do you have like different sticky rolls that don't have cinnamon in them, maybe? They're really good and totally worth having. You can make them rather easily if you've baked. I mean, okay, I'm not much of a baker. As you might see from my drawing, I'm a little bit too scattered to like follow recipes very well. I just sort of like I'm prone to improvisation, let's just say that, which is great for cooking, but can be problematic for baking. So yeah, so I don't bake a huge amount. And then the other thing is like that I have experimented with baking cinnamon rolls a couple of times, and I find getting that like really gooey consistency is a bit challenging, where I guess some people prefer more of a bready consistency, but I want it to just be gooey. So. What's in a Belgian bun, Dan? I have memories, Joy says, I have memories of Mum making something really similar, probably the same thing with a different name. That's cool. What was the name, Joy? I'm trying to remember. Okay. It's a sweet bread like cinnamon bun bread, but instead of cinnamon in the center, it's a little, but it's mixed with spices and dried fruits. The bun is also more compact and topped with icing and glacé cherry. I see. Yeah. So we have a few variations where there's like sticky buns and pull apart buns and Chelsea rolls and yeah, but cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns or cinnamon rolls are my favorite, and then I like them best if they're like really heavy on the cinnamon. You can also put nuts in them. Nuts are good, like walnuts or pecans. And then frequently they do have icing on top. Okay, cool. Let's bring it down a little. Ours wasn't iced. The gooey center just dribbles to coat the bottom when you get the proportions right. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, there's like a glaze often, or sometimes there's like a cream cheese icing. Sorry, I had to step away for a bit. Not a problem. Welcome back. We're talking about cinnamon rolls and how amazing they are. I'm gonna have some on Christmas before I stream, because I think I am just gonna go for a stream and just do, like, this year is so weird that I don't know what everyone's plans are for Christmas, but we can't, we can't do our usual get together with family because we'll be in lockdown. So yeah, there's not gonna be family for us, and I feel like probably a lot of people around the world are going to be in a sort of similar situation where they're like at home and don't really have their usual plans for Christmas. And if not, well, whatever, like it might be a fairly quiet stream, but are they rolled up? Sorry, the cinnamon rolls, so you get like a dough, and then so you roll out a dough and then you cut it into strips, and then you roll out a dough. It's got like a cinnamon sugar filling. You spread that out, you cut it into strips, and then you roll it into these roll shapes. Then you load them all up in a pan side by side so they're all like stuck together. And you bake that. And so then when you pull out a roll, like because they're all baked together, that's what keeps them gooey. And then often they'll get like either just a really light glaze on top, which is like maybe more of the filling, or sometimes like a cream cheese based icing on top. I don't know that I'm gonna bother with cream cheese icing because as much as I like cream cheese icing, it makes me feel gross. And like we don't really want a farting stream later on. We are doing a gathering, but we are having separate tables for separate families. I see. Yeah, I mean, we're not, I guess currently under the current restrictions we could, except that our families are both really large, so it wouldn't work. Well, sorry. Jordan's family, we could do a gathering with them because they're all in non-lockdown areas. My family is all in an area that's already, like other than me, they're already all in lockdown. But we're about to go into lockdown. Like it's guaranteed in the next few days. So, yeah. We'll just be home. And even if we weren't in lockdown, we wouldn't really be able to get together with our families because Jordan's family is really large, as is mine. So even by the current restrictions, it wouldn't work. Cooking with a mask on. Yeah, I mean, like during the summer, we had some sort of family gatherings outdoors and with masks and socially distanced and whatever, but can't really do that. So. We did Hanukkah via like video chat with my family the past several nights. Yeah, I'm sure that it's different for everyone around the world, and like, don't feel bad if you if you have real things to do on Christmas Day. But I figured that this year probably there were a bunch of people who were like a little stranded on Christmas Day, and so we can hang around here. Ever you streaming on the 26th? It's the opposite for me. I won't be on my own for Christmas. Oh, cool. What are you doing, Ev? I'll ask on this Saturday. Okay, cool. We'll be doing nothing, I think, but usually Mr. E visits family and I stay here with the cats. Oh, okay. I see. So like you'll be home, but you won't be home alone, whereas most Christmases you are. Are you feeling a little stifled without having the house to yourself? It's a bit hard to introvert and recharge. You don't have like very separate spaces, right? You're in a fairly small space. We've been okay. I was worried about that a little, especially Jordan. Like, he's even, you know, I'm an introvert, but he's like really, really an introvert. But, you know, we've checked in a few times and it hasn't been too bad because he does have his office and I have my studio at home. So we just like try to keep out of each other's way during the day. Okay, speaking of recharge, I'm gonna have to go recharge my water. I am super thirsty. I wonder if I can talk Mom into making some toffee scones. Toffee scones. Oh my goodness, those sound so good. Yeah, we have to share the same studio office space. Oh yeah, I can see how that would be really overwhelming. Our first apartment was like that. Some people have definitely had to get creative for personal space lately. Yeah. Yeah. We're lucky that we do have plenty of space in the house. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm back. We are lucky. Our apartment is the second and third floors of a very old house. I'm having some coffee crisp along with my water. Stairs are good, especially nowadays. But old house equals multiple tiny rooms equals man cave and cat cave. Yes. So we have a house. It's a reasonably sized house, but also it's an older home. So we have, you know, in a modern home this size, there probably would not be 3 bedrooms and a full basement. But yes, we have our little hidey holes. Coffee crisps. Coffee crisp is so good. You can have cat cave and bat cave. I still have to do a Canadian Quebec snacks stream at some point. Oh, yes. We refer to upstairs as the caves. That's hilarious. Yeah, we have three bedrooms on our second floor. So one of them is our actual bedroom. The smallest one, because what else are you going to put there? Like a bed, that's it. So, and then we have 2 more, and one of them is Jordan's office, and one of them is my home studio. And I mean, they're reasonably sized, but they are just... Again, if this house were built in modern days, the washroom would be larger, the closets would be larger, and there'd probably only be 2 bedrooms. We need more gadgets. I'll get working. What gadgets do you lack currently? I'm getting some new gadgets for Christmas, apparently. Jordan's the gadget purchaser in this household. But my office speakers recently died, so those are getting replaced. And I'm getting a new headset. I have a bedroom. I went from having my own studio unit flat to a bedroom, but it's been surprisingly okay. Joy, remind me, you're living with your mom now? Most of them. I've especially been pining over the long since broken grabby claw for when I drop stuff behind the desk. That's hilarious. Okay, I have a rant, actually. I just saw my hand in this shot. And I have a rant that's unrelated to anything. It's unrelated to my art. It's unrelated to any of these topics of conversation. But can I just rant about how bad women's clothing is for a moment? Like, right now, I'm wearing... Both of these are secondhand, but I'm wearing a shirt out of the men's section. This is a Pendleton shirt. Nice wool flannel, so pretty, so wonderful, so fits properly. And a men's sweater. And they both fit around my shoulders and around my chest. And like, I'm really busty. So why is it that men's clothing fits me better than women's clothing? Like, presumably women's clothing is supposed to be made for chests, right? Like, I'm not understanding this. I'm not shaped anything like a man. I'm like super hourglassy. But yeah. I don't, like, what the hell? I mean, it's not that I mind shopping out of the men's section, but it's also just better quality. Like, it's better quality for the same price. Now, again, these are secondhand, so like the Pendleton shirt, I mean, the Pendleton shirt I ended up getting for free, which is just this whole thing. I put in an order with a Poshmark seller, and she thought she found a hole in the shirt that she was selling. So she offered it for free along with the other stuff I was buying. And then I got the shirt, and I'm pretty sure the hole that she found wasn't actually a hole. It was just the remnants of the tag that were still stuck in. So I pulled it out, but there's no like torn fibers or anything. Well, but so like, this is the thing. This fits at the shoulders. It fits at my chest. It fits along my arms. Like, it's all, everything is the right width. And like, yeah, okay, it's like not super tight, but it's like, you know, it's fitted and it's fitting my chest. And then you get women's stuff that's got all these like weird darts and stuff to fit your chest, and then it doesn't fit chests. But men's clothing does, and men's clothing is made out of better materials and often cheaper. What the hell? What the hell? But we have purses. Yeah, I also like pockets. So I have some friends who say that men's pants work for them. I've not had as much luck with that, but some guys are very triangular shaped. Usually it's just the healthy ones though. Yeah, so it seems like, I mean, I guess part of it is I do actually have fairly broad shoulders for a woman, for my hip size, for my waist size, so like I do have the shoulders to fill out a men's medium. But still, it just, like, it's a little mind-boggling to me that I can get women's shirts and they're just like stretched to capacity around my chest, and then I get men's shirts and men don't have boobs generally. Like, that's not what men's clothing is designed for. Men pants have too much extra on the front that bunches up when you have nothing to put there. Yeah, so one of the things that I've done is I've bought a pair of men's pants that I think are, like, they're at least one size larger than I need anywhere. And I'm gonna take them into my friend who does clothing alterations and mending, and have them altered to fit more like one of the women's pairs I have, but like then, you know, change the pattern too and have it be right at the waist and right at the hips and right at everywhere. That space can be used for pocket space. That's great. Yeah, just use the existing zipper too, Alex. Like just sew in an extra pocket there, but like use the existing zipper, so then you have a zippered pocket. That won't freak anyone out. Midnight broccoli soup. Midnight broccoli soup sounds delicious. I had a nap for 4 hours today, so now it's time for soup. That sounds great. And I'm glad that you're around to join in this little party. I would totally share the soup. Yes, 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 yes. We need to have a get together at some point when it's safe again, and then we can all share delicious foods. I don't know, once you have well-fitting men's cargo pants, your life changes. I mean, yeah, especially if your definition of well-fitting involves a pocket at the front with a zippered pocket at the front. Toffee scones and cinnamon rolls. Mmm. All of this sounds so delicious. Okay, I'm gonna bring this down a little closer so you can see a little bit more what I'm actually working on. I still have some trauma regarding cargo pants from the trend in the early 2000s. I have these pants that have all the pockets, made for women, yay, and shorts with all the pockets, but I need more summer tops with pockets. I need more summer tops that, like, are not crap. I mean, I don't know. I don't need more clothing. I've got plenty of clothing. I just, like, what do you all wear in the summer? Maybe this is the better question. How do you dress in the summer? Because, like, in the winter, I have a uniform. I mean, it's like, it's not that I wear the same clothing every day, but, like, I always wear usually sweatpants or, like, woolly leggings or something. Sometimes, if I'm going outside and doing something, I'll put jeans on top. A long sleeve shirt, usually like merino wool, and then either a flannel, like a overshirt thing, or a sweater, or both, like I'm doing today. And yeah, like, so like in the winter, like getting dressed doesn't take any thought. I just put on clothing. And I have like all sorts of fun sweaters and tops and whatever. But like it takes me 30 seconds to get dressed. It's always cozy. I'm always comfortable in it. And in the summer, like I actually really like summer because I go out and garden and I go biking and you know, a lot of the things that I like doing are more outside. I don't get cold, but clothing, I'm just like, I'm lost. What do people wear in the summer that doesn't result in like burning to a crisp, or like showing more skin than you want to, or just like being uncomfortably sticky, or wearing white and then spilling stuff on yourself is my other problem. Yeah, I feel like fisherman's vest might be a little bit too far in the safari direction for me, but then who knows? You know, I'm like totally 1,000% a dork about my sweaters, so maybe I just need to like get over being a dork about my vests. I'm in Texas, so it's always hot and moist. My go-to are always light cotton pencil skirts. Pencil skirts, interesting. And t-shirts with my sandals. It's comfy and cool. So I love sandals. I did this whole bit on sandals. um, definitely love sandals. Um, yeah, I really enjoy like long skirts, like, you know, maxi sort of boho, almost a prairie skirt. But you know, that's not super practical for bike riding for one. Yeah. And then there's just the tops issue. It's just like, what do you wear on top? And then I guess I don't tend to be attracted to light colors, which on myself, I'm pasty. I'm very pale, but I'm also olive skinned, which means that unless I've tanned a lot, I look rather green. I do tan up pretty quickly in the summer though, so that's not too bad. I'm not much for shorts. Since I'm short and top heavy, it makes me feel like I'm a weeble wobble. I am fairly average height. I sometimes feel short because some of my friends and family are very tall. But I'm pretty average height, but all of my height is in my torso, which helps me get away with wearing men's clothing on top. But I have stubby little legs, so I can wear tall shirts and petite pants. And sometimes the petite pants are too short, and sometimes the tall shirts are too short. Or sorry, sometimes the petite pants are too long, and sometimes the tall shirts are still on the short side. Nothing wrong with that. I'm built like dwarf. For a while, I had an obsession with jumpsuits. I think I might be getting over it. Just because getting things that fit in all the places is extra challenging. Joy says, I think summer clothing is hard as if you need to look presentable as a woman. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, presentable is a bit of a, like, I think my needs regarding, like, looking presentable are pretty low. You know, I work from home, I'm self-employed. Through the winter, I'm wearing sweatpants a lot of the time. Like, it's not, I don't have to worry too much about looking presentable, but, like, I would like to not look like a total mess. I have work clothes and paint clothes, basically. Yeah, I mean, my work is paint, so yeah, so they're the same. So if you dropped some crumbs from cinnamon rolls, it wouldn't be a problem. This is why I prefer dark clothing, and why summer clothing is another problem. Because see, like, this dark patterned, like, here we have some plaid and it's all in dark colors. So if I drop some cinnamon rolls on it, whatever, it'll be fine. Here I have a nice cashmere sweater. If I drop some cinnamon rolls on it, it'll be fine. But if I'm wearing like a bright white t-shirt, I mean, it'll show every trace of cinnamon rolls. Believe in wearing what's comfortable even in summer. I agree, but I don't really know what that is. I've just realized, honestly, this is like a realization just this year that, like, I have like a very clear idea of what I wear in winter. And I actually really like summer, so it like never really occurred to me, but like I don't have summer clothing. And then every summer I like end up panicking partway through, buying some stuff that doesn't work for me. And I'm like just like disappointed about my wardrobe, and I just don't think about it. And the end of the summer comes around and I throw all that stuff out because I hate it. And the next summer rolls around and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have shorts. I don't have shirts that are comfortable in summer. And I go run out and buy some nonsense that falls apart. I teach in shorts and shirt and flats are fine. It's fine for me. Yeah, it's just like really hot and humid in Canada. So, well, this part of Canada anyway. Handsome is always in dark jeans and slightly grungy t-shirts. Somebody thought to say, every man needs a suit. Why don't you own a suit? And he shrugs and says, I'm a software engineer. Well, yeah, my husband is always in pretty much dark jeans and slightly grungy t-shirts. I mean, he has some polo shirts, but that's about it. He does own a suit though, but you know, it gets worn like once or twice a year. Weddings and funerals. This summer I've been in my compression tights and long line sleeveless tops, my spoonie style. That sounds comfy, but do you not find that compression tights are a little well, I don't know what weather is like in New Zealand. I feel like in the heat of summer I would find that a little sweaty. It gets really, really humid and hot here. We have like very, very extreme weather, so cold winters and then hot, humid summers. Yeah, Jordan had a few years where he didn't have like any suits that fit properly, and it was kind of awkward every time we'd have like some family event, like, oh shoot, what are you gonna wear to this thing? And there was just like some search of like, what's the shirt that fits least badly. So then he got a suit custom made, which was ferociously expensive, but hopefully it'll last a good long while. Compression tights would be hot if I was outside, but they're thin, so they're working so far. Okay. Yeah, so I guess that's the extra thing here, is because in the winter I'm inside most of the time, or like I'll go outside, but I know how to bundle up. But in the summer, I spend a lot more time outside. And I'm just sort of lost. The payoff to get blood circulating to my brain is worth it at the moment. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good point. Huh, I hadn't really thought of that. That's really interesting. So you find that the compression and the like extra heat on your lower half helps get blood pumping up to your brain. If I'm understanding that correctly, Joy? What family event require a suit except weddings and funerals? Just weddings and funerals, as far as I know. But, you know, we're at that age or place in life where we get invited to a couple weddings every year, and so I think my husband had his suit made for, might have been my sister's wedding. I think it was for my sister's wedding. He didn't wear a suit to our wedding. We had a very casual wedding. So I didn't wear a gown, and he did not wear a full suit. All our friends are the same age, married in the same year, so we're free of suits. Yeah, so we both have very large families. So it's like most of our friends are married, but then I have siblings, like my youngest brother is 18. Jordan has much younger siblings too. And then we have cousins and etc. So it's not just our friends, it's also family. Aw, real baby brother. Yeah, yeah, he really is. Very, very much younger. And yep, that comes up.
We just already decided every table at our hypothetical wedding will have arcade coins and loaded Nerf guns. I've always joked that I want a pajama wedding because jammies are cheap. We definitely gave out Nerf guns and other Nerf weaponry at our wedding as favors and then nicer ones as like wedding party gifts because we met at a LARP. So there was a theme there, sort of. So there was definitely foamy weaponry at our wedding. And it wasn't quite pajamas, but we basically said you can wear whatever you want. And I was in a linen sundress, which I still own and, you know, wear during the summer. So as far as summer clothing goes, that was custom made, but it's green, not white, and it's linen, not really a gown. And Jordan wore just like shirt and khakis. If I'm married, I want Dante to be there. That means almost no other people can be there, and I want to be comfy. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting a little lost in these leaves down here. Okay, I was just trying to be pretty loose about drawing this thing. But I think that I should have planned just a little bit more. Long socks without feet. Without feet? Or without... Do they have feet? Or do they not have feet? Or do they just not have, like, do they just not go up to your butt? Right, here we have with and without feetsies. Okay. Drawing's looking real good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm having fun with it. These live streams are great because they're just like, they're a time when I can do whatever and call it work, basically. Often I guilt myself about, like, I know it's silly, but I'll guilt myself about like, oh, I should be working on this thing, this larger project, or a commission, or a video or something. These live streams are good for just like, no, I'd like to experiment with doodling in ballpoint pen right now. That's what I'd like to do. So that's what you're watching, is I'm gonna doodle in ballpoint pen. And part of why I'm okay with doing this sort of stuff on Christmas too is like, yeah, but you know, it's not, yes, it's work, but it's not, you know, I can just do whatever during that time. Stay on for as little or as long as I want. Do whatever I feel like. Soup is ready. Sounds delicious. You said it was broccoli soup? What do you put in your broccoli soup, Lana? Because I have a lot of broccoli, so maybe I'll make broccoli soup once I'm off this stream. Actually, maybe that's another topic. So I mentioned earlier that I have much younger siblings, including an 18-year-old brother. So my younger siblings are both on like really strict budgets right now. And so I'm doing a little challenge with the two of them where I'm keeping, they're both trying to keep to $50 per person per week. So one of them has a partner, and so is spending a bit more, and then my younger brother is, my youngest brother is on, is just alone, so he's, you know, that's $200 a month or $50 a week, and that's his grocery budget. And so then to, you know, help each other stick to a budget, I'm going to be keeping the same budget as them for a little while, and then cooking all of my meals and not ordering in. And so we'll just be trading pictures of like what we're having for our different meals. So if other people have suggestions of like good budget meals to try, I'll be on a pretty strict budget. We're spending, I guess, $400. It's Canadian, so it's like $300 US a month on food for the next while. Yeah, it's kind of neat. It's not like, usually we don't watch ourselves too closely at the grocery store, and we also can afford to order in, so we do. We didn't really, we spent several months earlier this year where we didn't order in at all, just because I didn't really feel comfortable having people like have to go out during the pandemic, and depending on delivery drivers. Just seemed sort of exploitative, so you know, we tried to avoid ordering in, and we were pretty successful for several months there. Falling off that bandwagon a little, so this will help get back on. He used to do a broccoli soup thing with chicken stock and ginger, and I don't remember. Try and have stock more regularly. Oh, yeah. We cook a lot ourselves. Takeout is expensive here. We do cook a lot. Takeout is pretty expensive. I mean, we're fortunate that, you know, our financial situation, we're pretty okay. So it's not like, yes, of course, like everyone would like to save money. You know, there's obviously things that would be better uses of money than like spending $60 on takeout. But cinnamon roll ingredients fit in the budget, right? Yeah, of course. Of course. I mean, realistically, we could budget for like most things. Meat tends to be expensive, especially like nicer cuts of meat. I'm vegetarian anyway, so that's not a huge issue. But Jordan likes his meat, so like not steak every day, obviously. A lot of convenience foods tend to be kind of pricey, so like cereal, like pre-made like boxed cereals. I'm gonna try to make granola, which should help with that. Or, you know, like pre-made sauces and salads. Like if you get like a pre-made butter chicken sauce. Like you can make butter chicken, but if you get the pre-made sauce in a jar, it's a few dollars. Porridge is absolutely budget friendly, yeah. Oatmeal is very affordable. Yeah. So I eat oatmeal just because I like oatmeal. And yeah, it's basically free. Jordan is not a huge fan of oatmeal. He usually likes having granola in the morning though, and like granola ingredients are basically oats, sugar, like a few nuts or dried fruits. It's like you can make granola very cheaply, but he'll get like these fancy boxes, and it's like, you know, $7 for a little for a little box that's got like 3-4 servings in it. So, you know, that's not an option, but I'm gonna try making it and hopefully that'll help. Anyway, I'm sure we can manage. It's just if somebody has recipe ideas, I am open and listening, because this is not really, you know, we just figure like anything we get at the grocery store is bound to be cheaper than ordering in, so we don't really worry about the prices at the grocery store. As a result, we spend a little bit more. Nuts might be pricier, but the nutrition, you don't eat a lot of the nuts though. Yeah, so like you can definitely get some nuts into your oatmeal, but it doesn't make like there's no amount of nuts, like the volume of those. You can get $7 of any kind of nuts and it'll be heavier than the $7 little box of fancy granola. Like it's just an expensive way of getting a cheap meal, and we don't worry about it because, you know, it's fine, whatever. So he spent $2 on breakfast, like it's okay. Seeds are super cheap. Some sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. Oh yes, that's true. Yeah, I got groceries for my brother.
little while ago. And I was surprised at like how cheap you can get things. Now granted, when I looked again at the same stuff in my area, like I had groceries delivered to him, but he's in Toronto, and I'm in another town about 100 kilometers away. When I looked at the same ingredients where I am, they were a bit more expensive, but still like managed to get, you know, a decent amount of stuff, a couple dozen eggs, a big bag of potatoes, you know, some cabbage, some cheese, some pasta, like all sorts of stuff for, it was less than $50. It was quite a bit of food. Get oat flakes and yogurt and then build your breakfast with berries, seeds, and nuts. It would be healthy and cheaper than anything ready-made. Yeah, absolutely. Unsweetened dry coconut and all the cinnamon. There's sweetened coconut. There is, and it's kind of annoying because like I would rather just always get the unsweetened kind, and yeah, but like for some reason a lot of the dry coconut we can get here is sweetened, and like I've ended up with the sweetened kind by accident a couple of times. Eggs do lots. Yeah, my brother loves eggs. We're okay with eggs. We eat eggs sometimes. But my brother just like, he could just eat eggs for every meal, which is good for him. Because they're super cheap. Beans, lentils. Yeah, a lot of it is sweetened. Yes, and the cranberries too. Like I would like just regular dried cranberries. Why do they always come sweetened? Anyway, so I'm just gonna draw this stem gall now over here. There's a Russian shop that sells frozen cranberries and buckthorn, which are not sweetened, and I get them a lot. Ooh, yum. Go make porridge now. All right. Yeah, so we can get frozen cranberries that aren't sweetened. But like dry cranberries are usually sweetened here. I guess I could just learn to dry my own cranberries. Maybe that's the answer. Because you can also get fresh cranberries here. So maybe I'll just like start getting cranberries and drying them. I don't think they have to, like, they've got plenty of citric acid. They should just be fine without additional sweeteners. I don't know why they're always sweetened.
Fresh cranberry. No, this is wild. We had those in Russia a lot. I love them. You don't have fresh cranberries? We grow a lot of cranberries here. They're native to here. Because they are super tart. What? Yes, but you can always add sugar. Like, no one likes that, you know. Well, I'd like that. I need marshlands or swamps. Yeah, they're grown in like shallow lakes here. They just flood the fields, yeah. So they're grown in like a marshy, like floodplain. And then the cranberries float and they just scoop them up. They paddle around, so they have similar needs as wild rice. Which I guess is another North American thing. Like, do you have wild rice? What we know as wild rice at all in Europe? It's like the black. They're like, they look like rice, sort of, but they're longer and like just black. They just look like this. There, I drew a wild rice. So we don't have many of those areas. It's not easy to do that because of the climate here. Gotcha, yeah, okay. I don't think wild rice grows here. Well, it's native to North America, and specifically like sort of the area I'm in. And it was farmed as a grain by native people. It grows in the Canadian Shield, which is like where the glaciers receded during the last ice age and left a bunch, like it scraped back the granite and left all of these like weirdly shaped lakes. And a lot of them are just like really shallow. And so wild rice is a reed. It grows in shallow lake areas, and then they'll paddle around and shake it out into a canoe. In Russia, cranberries are native too. They grew in swamps and my parents and I went to collect them. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. There are a couple different kinds of cranberries. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which ones are native to where. But there are definitely cranberries that are native to here, not just like grown here. Might be a different kind. This drawing's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I think there's high bush and low bush cranberries. I mean, there are things that are native to both Canada and Russia because there used to be a land bridge. But thank you. I'm a little overwhelmed by like all of the different patterns and lines and hatching here to try to get the shading, but that's what these are good for, is experimenting with this. Thank you. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add a little bit more detail and depth in here, and then I think I'm sort of reaching the end of what I'm gonna do in this stream. Just push this over. Always impressed what a range of different tones and like movement you can get with something like a ballpoint pen. Are you all planning to do any art over the holiday season or early next year? Yes, I'm planning to paint frogs until I want to paint something else. That's great. That's fantastic. I love that. I look forward to seeing your frogs that you paint, Lana. Originally, I wanted to paint Christmas ornaments, but it's all frogs now. I mean, frogs are a lot more interesting than Christmas ornaments. I endorse this decision. I've posted some on Ev's Discord. Okay, I will go check Ev's Discord. Been a little bit underactive on Discord recently, but I will go check. Frogs are very ornamental, I agree. Also, color is traditional. Yeah, yeah. And then if you get into tree frogs, you can get some like really like, you know, red and green, blue and white, like very holiday colors. I'm attempting to paint sparrows. Cool. Birds are so weird. Oh my goodness, birds are so weird. Okay, I'm gonna call this done. I think that's it for today. Thank you all for joining me. This was loads of fun. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you're not already on my Discord channel, you should join my Discord channel. If one of the mods can go grab a link for my Discord channel, that would be awesome. Alternatively, it's in the description for all the other live streams. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I will be back on Christmas Day, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And anyone who is wondering what to do on Christmas Day, because this year is a weird year, I'll be streaming. I'll be doing something like this. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye. Oh, Kelly, you've been quiet this whole stream. Bye, Kelly. Oh, and Lana's posting a Discord link. Maybe? Hopefully? I'll just doodle a little bit more while waiting for that link. I just noticed I'm a mod, sorry. Yes, you are a mod. Anyone with a channel who shows up here regularly, I've tried to make you a mod. Bye, Kelly. Dang, fingers. Oh. Yep. Am I getting a Discord link up? Also, Ev will be streaming tomorrow and every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So, well, half hour earlier than this stream started, but tomorrow. All right. Bye, everyone. 8 p.m. European. That is also valid. Bye.